Dr. Helen is an industrial microbiologist with over 25 years of experience. Her career in microbiology to date has been varied with experience gained in industry as well as academia, both teaching and research. Dr. Onyeaka's PhD researched the impact on individual microbial cells due to a changing microenvironment with regard to their physiology and metabolic pathway, and suggested how this knowledge could be used to predict as well as optimize future process performance in the industry. She received the Bryden Postgraduate and IChemE Biochemical Engineering Award for this doctorate thesis. Dr. Helen, you have the floor.
Thank you so
We can't
much.
wait to hear it.
Yeah. Is it possible to have my slides on, please? Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Helen Onyeaka from the University of Birmingham. My talk today is microorganisms for sustainable food production, environmental conservation, and food security. Next slide, please. Today, our planet faces several critical environmental challenges such as food waste, environmental pollution, climate change, loss of biodiversity, and also the ever-increasing global populations among some of the problems we're facing today. These problems have far-reaching consequences because they do affect our ecosystem. Human health also is impacted, and the sustainability of our planet is in question. So it's very important that we understand and address these challenges to ensure a healthy and prosperous future for the future generations to come. Next slide, please. Now, more than 800 million people are affected by food scarcity. In terms of malnutrition, we have more than 2 billion that suffer from malnutrition. And the environmental cost of food production are no longer sustainable. However, there is a need to increase the food production by more than 60% in the next 3 decades to meet the demands of the growing world population. And using the current methods of food production, it is estimated that the global greenhouse gas will increase by up to 80%. For example, livestock, primarily cows, produces 14.5% of the global greenhouse gas emission, and the majority that is in the form of methane. So we need a better solution. What can we do? Next slide, please. At HITA, we are actively working to address these environmental issues through various innovative approaches. And what we do, we pursue initiatives and innovations, and we aim to contribute to the sustainable practices, resource conservation, and mitigation of the environmental challenges in the food industry and beyond. So we have 4 key areas: microbial-based food production, bioremediation of heavy metals in water and wastewater, food safety, and food waste valorization. Those are the 4 key areas, and I'll talk about them briefly because I know we have time limits. Next slide, please. The first part of our research is using algae to produce flour for bakery industry. So we all know that algae is very sustainable and is nutritious. We're using algae chlorella. They're highly sustainable organisms because you can cultivate them in minimum resources. They have a very high growth rate because you can, they amplify quite fast. They require less land and water and fertilizers when you compare to traditional crops production. And they're able to thrive in diverse environment. They're also very rich in nutrients, bioactives, vitamins, minerals, omega-3. This is just telling you a little bit of how good they are. So the idea is we grow algae in large-scale fermentation, we produce the powder, and we can engineer it to produce more protein. We produce powder, the flour, and we can use that to make cakes and bread. So watch out for the green bread and green cakes coming, very soon. Next slide, thanks. Then the other thing we're doing also is bioremediation and biorecovery of heavy metals in water and wastewater. Particularly, we're using E. coli, gram-negative organism, to bioaccumulate those heavy metals like lead and copper we're working on at the moment. And I tell myself, Helen, you're going to be very rich in future, because if you can get my microorganisms to bioaccumulate diamonds, voila, I've made lots of millions then. And it is my joke with my students. Anyway, the idea is to use E. coli to accumulate these heavy metals. Then we can then harvest the heavy metals to be reused in batteries or other things, and also have potable water free of heavy metals. This is a win-win solution. Next slide, please. The other thing we're doing also is using microorganisms to produce antimicrobials, peptides. And the idea is to be able to preserve food, because food waste is a very critical problem we have now. Tons of food is wasted. So what we do in this, we're using lactic acid bacteria to produce bacteriocins, micro-encapsulate these bacteriocins, use them as food preservatives. And there's quite a lot of research going on at the moment in this area, either as active packaging or inside the food once it's micro-encapsulated. So the idea is to extend the shelf life, so the food waste will be reduced. Thanks. The next slide. Thank you. Another amazing, really exciting research we're doing is reducing and valorizing food waste. So using the food waste for money, a cellular economy. So most of the waste we generate goes to landfills, and that contributes to the greenhouse gases and by environmental degradation, which is a major problem. So imagine if we were to harvest this waste, use them to produce bio-based products or biofuels. That is the ultimate plan we have in HITA. But right now, what we are working on is using, chemical valorization. We're coming on to this biological valorization, which is the next phase of our work. So the next slide, please. So what do you do with beer waste, coffee waste? Millions of coffee waste, cocoa shells are wasted every day, and chocolates being wasted as well. So what we tend to do at HITA, we're doing this at the moment and it's really successful, is we collect this waste from the food industries, and then we, extract the bioactives like phenols, amino acids, flavonoids, even oil and fiber that can be used for animal feeds. So this reduces costs, food recycling, which is quite important, and is very sustainable. And we have natural food additives you can get, because you can get some vitamins that are very important, or they can be used for functional foods. Right now, we're doing quite a lot of research in this area, and we've seen results, very promising results. So once we have finished perfecting, but this is chemical extraction, using omic heating, and also using critical fluids extraction, we're going to then move on to biological extraction of food valorization. Next slide, please. Thanks. So in conclusion, HITA is actively addressing critical environmental issues by implementing innovative solutions to food and agricultural processes. We're really excited what we're doing, and our efforts are targeted, to food waste, water pollution, climate change, and resource conservation. Through the production of bacteriocins, for example, from lactic acid bacteria, algae-based flour formulation, mopping up heavy metals by biomining or bioaccumulation, and also reducing and valorizing food waste, we are taking steps towards mitigating these environmental challenges that we face, because don't forget, we have lots of people that suffer from malnutrition, and billions of people are affected by food scarcity. So by prioritizing sustainable practices and optimizing resource uses, we aim to contribute to a more environmental friendly and sustainable future, reducing pollution, promoting a better, healthy planet for generations to come. So this is what we do at HITA Food Research Institute. Thank you so much.